Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, so I put up there briefly the ayahs in the Book of Allah that you can go look up yourself, inshallah. Um, inshallah, everything's going good with your families out there, inshallah. And if not, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us, you know, the patience to endure what it is that we're going through, inshallah. Um, so basically, I'm going to start like this. So, let's see. No, if that's right. All right. So briefly, I'm hoping it's brief. I always say briefly. Um, Probably be on here today off and on. Today is gonna be an off and on day, inshallah. I got this subject, and then I might do a movie thing, show a movie or something like that, and comment on and give my viewpoints. So it's just one of them days, inshallah. Praise and glory belongs to Allah, the eternal absolute, who created all things, and who is our Rab. Rab meaning that He created us and began us, and He makes us evolve through different stages to reach our very end. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. So, we're going to get into this, inshallah. So, the first thing that I want to establish is that the siratul mustaqim are rules. Okay? The siratul mustaqim are rules. What we ask for inside our Fatiha, ihdina siratul mustaqim. Now, according to Islamic historians, they say that this is a Medina surah. And this is something though. It's a Medina surah. It's not a Meccan surah, right? Yet they were asking in Medina, ihdina surat al-mustaqim, right? And so the number one rule on ihdina surat al-mustaqim is the oneness of Allah, because these are the actual real fundamentals. This is the actual real essence of the deen itself, the judgments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are what the Torah would call the 10 Commandments. Okay? So Surat al-Mustaqim, even before Musa came, before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, before any of the Nabiyin came to guide us back to it, okay, was already established. And so, we're like, so briefly, when we go to, hold on a second, I thought I had this down. All right, yeah. Surah 7, Ayah 17. Okay, and it says, this is at the time of Adam alayhi salatu salam. So at the time of Adam alayhi salatu salam, remember, Adam, he bit the fruit, and then he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for respite, a chance. And Shaitan said in Surah 17, Ayah 16, he said very clearly, he said, because you have sent me astray. He says, because you have sent me astray, and my Arabic is, I wasn't born speaking Arabic, so my Arabic is, when I read it quietly to myself and then I say it out loud, it's, okay. I gotta work on it, the pronunciation, but I do understand root words and meanings and stuff like that. So, alhamdulillah, but it says, 17. I put it on 31. That's what I was looking for. I was like, why is it on 31? Because that's one of the ones I'm going to read. But 17, And let's see, if anybody's on, I just go ahead and say 7 Surah 7 ayah 16. So Surah 7 ayah 16. So it says, Shaitan said, because you have sent me astray, surely I will wait for them on your straight path. All right. Surah Taqa el Mustaqima. Okay. Surah Taqa el Mustaqima. Okay. So here we see the first time siratul Mustaqim is being mentioned. The straight path. It's a path, it's a way that is already established. Okay, we ask it inside of our Fatiha, Ihdina Siratul Mustaqim. But Siratul Mustaqim, if you go to, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you that the prophets, they are sent to guide to the Siratul Mustaqim because mankind went astray from it. So these are rules, right? But a few ayats like Surah 14, ayat 1. So it says, close up on the camera. So it says, Alif Lam Ra, Kitaban Anzalnahu Ilayka Litukrija An-Nasa Minna Azlumati Illa An-Nur Bi'idni Rabbihim Illa Sirati Al-Azizi Al-Hamidi. Okay. All right. So what it's saying is, Alif Lam Ra, a book which we have sent down to you, so that you may bring people out from the Zoom, okay, Zulamati, okay. So they translated in, and one day I'm gonna get into the darkness thing because that's a meaning that came on the word later, but it just means ignorance and not having limitations, okay. Doom, and this is why oppression is linked with the word though, because an oppressor has no limits. You see, they have no limitations. You're going beyond the bounds. You're going beyond the siratul mustaqim that Allah has established. So, doom originally is no boundaries. You don't have no boundaries at all. Okay? So, the prophets are sent to guide you away from that way of life of having no boundaries, no order, into a nur bidni. Okay? Nur is actually a way of saying guidance. Okay? They translate it as light. That's a meaning that came onto it later on because light is what you see, right? But actually, nur in its essential meaning, when you break down letter for letter, noon, and then you go into the wa and you go into the ra meaning insight to see, the noon meaning the primal waters. Some people translate it as black waters, but it has an essence of understanding of a time of no order, right? So the rai, when it is added to the noon, the letter noon, when the rai is added to it, it gives it a consciousness, a life that has sight now, so that you can see. Now, when you see things, there's delineations, right? There's boundaries, okay? So to have sight means that you see the delineations and the boundaries, all right? So that's from the disorder or no rules into a state of having rules. And the prophets, Katanabiyun, right? They get the book and they guide you to that. Okay? So that's one thing. So we have in Surah 23, ayah 73. Right. All right. Okay. So it says in Surah 3, ayah 103, it says, how can you reject the revelations of Allah when revelations of Allah have been recited to you, and with you is his messenger, and whoever holds firm to Allah has been guided to the siratul mustaqim, the straight path. Right? Surah 24:46. I'm just gonna read them off English because the Kalam Arabiya takes a while for me to, you know, I never professed to be some big scholar in Arabic lore, right? But so when I read it, I have to slowly look at it and boo 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 boo, right? So important parts I just said. So Surah 24:46 to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it says, we have sent down to you clarifying revelations, and Allah guides whoever He wills to a straight path. The word here is siratin mustaqimin. Okay. So we have also Surah 2 ayat 213, and then I'm gonna get onto the rules just to show you. So Surah 2 ayat 213 is real important because it talks about all the prophets. In the beginning, it says, "Kana anasu ummatan wahidatan faba'atha faba'atha Allahu an nabiyyin." Right? So it says man was at first, Nasu was one ummatan, right? Wahidatan, right? One, singular. Faba'atha Allahu an nabiyyin. So the prophets, right? So it says basically that there used to be one nation, and then Allah sent prophets as bearers of good news, right? That's what it's going to say. And warners. They warn you of what to stay away from. And the good news is if you abide by the rules, you get the Jannah, okay? He sent down with them the book, right? He sent down the book. So, wa anzalna wa ahmuhu al-kitab bil-haqqi liyahukma, right? So he sent down the book, and he sent down the truth or the wisdom or the judgments. Hukum could be judgments, wisdom, all that, right? So that they may judge. So he sent the prophets the book, so they judge by it. Okay? They're judging by it between the people disputing, right? But after receiving clarity, the people disputed in it. Okay? In it. Due to animosity. Allah guided those who believed and with his permission regarding what they disputed in of the truth, and Allah guides whomsoever he wishes to a straight path. Siratul mustaqim. Siratin mustaqimin. So again, that word. So the aim of the prophets is to guide people to certain rules in a chaotic society. Right? So they're given the book, they're given the wisdom to be able to use the book to judge with it and to solve people's problems that they're disputing and arguing over. And so there are rules laid down. So when they do that, when they start solving these issues, of course they're going to use their own words, their own mouths, their own actions. And this what people will start saying that this is a sunnah. Right? Is what we say in Arabic, the sunnah, right? But That is, sometimes it's for the people at that time who live at that time. But the siratul mustaqim, those rules, those specific rules, what the prophets say and what they do lead to it. Lead to it. It is actually the rules of the deen, the actual essence, right? So the prophets are sent to guide to that. That is what they're coming to give you, finally. Now, along the way, when they're slowly, like I read the other ayat, they slowly lead you away from the zalimat, the wrongdoing that you do, the chaotic that you do. They slowly guide you away from that step by step by step. Primary example, alcohol. In the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they was drinking. They was stuck into their vices. So slowly, Surat al-Mustaqim was implemented. Now, the whole Quran was revealed over a course of 25 years, 23 years, some say. Okay? So it was 23, 25 years, and ayat by ayat, here, there, little, right? Given. They didn't have the whole Quran until about around the time the Prophet died. We got the whole Quran. There's a big difference here, right? A lot of people don't want to, latch on to that. We are given all the Surat al-Mustaqim rules at once. We can look at it, we can read it, and then implement, right? They had to be given it step by step. There's another part of the Quran that says we reveal the Quran to you in step by step so that it may strengthen their hearts, meaning in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, strengthen their hearts. So one of the things they did was, for primary example, was talking about the alcohol, right? First, Surat al-Mustaqim, and you're going to read this, Surat al-Mustaqim rule number 2, Salat. Or it could be rule number 2 and rule number 3. Okay? Salat. They were given the Salat. Right? Then when they started growing in taqwa, in fear of Allah, the more that they grew in that, like the Quran says we reveal the Quran to you step by step so that it may strengthen their hearts. Right? The stronger they got, then the zalimat, the wrong way of living that they was in, they slowly got taken away from it. So now you can come to prayer. You might be intoxicated at first while you're praying. That was the first stage. Then later on, don't come to prayer in a state of intoxication. Second stage. And that lasted for a while. That lasted all the way from Mecca all the way into Medina. That's a long time. They were in Mecca for 10 years and they were in Medina for 13. They didn't stop drinking for a long time, but they were still declared mu'mineen because they were slowly being guided away from zalimat, wrongdoing, or having a chaotic lifestyle into the paths of Nur, and the paths of Nur then guide them to on the fixed rules of Surat al-Mustaqim. But along the way, they were given Surat al-Mustaqim step by step as zalimat was thrown away. You see? And then finally, towards the end of the Prophet's life, his death, they had the whole Surat al-Mustaqim. They had the whole Quran. We're given that as one piece. You understand? So that's what it says. And so back to what we're saying, that the prophets guide to something. A lot of us believe that when the prophets come, we're following them in themselves. We are following them, but they are guiding us to something. They're guiding us to the siratul mustaqim. This is why in Fatiha we ask, Ihdina siratul mustaqim. Right? You got the Prophet with you, but you're still saying Ihdina siratul mustaqim, because they're there to guide society back to that. Now we know that, like I said, Iblis had said what? Long time ago. I'm going to wait on your straight path. Surely I will sit for them on the straight path. Siratul Mustaqim. Right? So, the Siratul Mustaqim was way back in the time of Adam and Iblis. The Siratul Mustaqim are fixed rules for all times. The Siratul Mustaqim, since the time of Iblis, since the time of Adam, all the prophets, when societies went astray, all the prophets went to guide people back to those rules. The siratul mustaqim is Islam. The siratul mustaqim, Islam is not the personalities that we love. A lot of people don't understand it. Islam is not itself, we love the prophets. We follow them to the siratul mustaqim. Islam itself is not the prophets. Islam itself is not the books. I mean, it's in the book, right? But what is in the book comes from what they call the celestial book, the Kitab. The Siratul Mustaqim is in the Kitab. Okay? Siratul Mustaqim, the prophets are sent to guide us in our chaotic societies back to those rules to establish. But along the way, they teach with their wisdom that Allah gives them, step by step, how to get rid of our bad habits, so that when we slowly get away from them, they present to us the Siratul Mustaqim, and then that is the Islam. That is the way of life. Or I should say the deen, the millet. Right? So I'm going to read this because I see some other people came on, so I'll go back to this ayat real quick. So Surah 2, ayat 213, we're talking about how man was one. Talking about how man was one. Kana anasu ummatan wahidatan. So it says that Nas was one. Faba'atha Allahu an-nabiyina. Right? So, okay, yeah. Mubarashina wa mudhirina wa anzalna ma'ahmu al-kitab bil-haqi liyaquma. Okay, the hukum. Okay, so they got the book, they got the judgment, and they are sent. The people used to be one nasu. Then Allah sent the prophets, nabiyina. It says as bearers of good news, which is Jannah, and as warners. Right? Warners about, if you violate the Siratul Mustaqim, you're going to go to the Jahannam. Right? He sent down with them the kitab, book, with the truth. And bilhaqi liya hukma. Okay? So, liya hukma. I always say one, but it's ma. Right? But it's the wisdom and the truth. So the judgment, the hukum, the judgment, the wisdom. Baina an-nasi filmahu. Okay. Yashau illa suratin mustaqimin. Okay. So basically, it says that man was one, or they were one nation. He sent the book with the prophets, with the truth, with the hikmah, to solve their problems. He may judge between them in their dispute. So you got a chaotic society that has no rules. Zalimat. Remember, Zalimat means no rules, no boundaries, chaos. The prophets are sent. They got the book. They got the wisdom. They use the wisdom. They use the hikmah, and they come with the book to solve the problems you're disputing in. And then people divide after that. But the whole purpose, it says, Allah guided those who believed with his permission. This is after they're disputing. Regarding what they disputed in of the haq, the truth. And Allah guides whomsoever he wills to siratul mustaqim. So the end goal of the prophets is siratul mustaqim. We say it in Fatiha, idina siratul mustaqim. You can see that Surah 38, 37, ayat 3, 118, I think. 3. Yeah. Okay. It's 37, ayat 118. So it says, and we guided them to the straight path. Again, Surah 1, ayat 6, idina siratul mustaqim. You're always asking this. And then finally, talking to the Prophet himself, he says, in Surah 45, ayah 52. Surah 45, ayah 52. So it says, Wakadlika, oh wait, okay, Ruhan min Amrina ma kunta tadri ma al-kitabu wala al-imanu walakin ja'alnahu nuran. A little bit. Excuse me a second. Oh, assalamu alaikum to everybody that just came in. Nuran Nadi. Nadi bin man nashau min ibadina. Okay. So wainaka latadi illa suratim mustaqimi. Okay. So it says says, and so we inspired to you a revelation of our command, O Muhammad, parentheses. You did not know what the book was, nor what was the faith, yet we made this a light to guide whoever we wish from among our servants. Surely you guide to a straight path. See, Prophet Muhammad duty and mission, like all the other prophets, was to guide to the siratul mustaqim, which are rules. See, so we're gonna go into these rules so you understand, and I understand that the actual Islam is not the personalities that all the sects are naming. We can hold them up to sacredness. We can hold them up and revere that they practice the Siratul Mustaqim and they were the best on the Siratul Mustaqim, right? We say they're the best, but how do we know that? We know we see everyone has to have that list. You see, everyone has, so that nobody's tricked no more. See, everyone has to have the list. This is Siratul Mustaqim. These are the rules. So that even a simple person look and say, okay, I know the haq, I know its followers. Or otherwise, somebody could just seem like they're a good personality and you just be tricked. So Siratul Mustaqim has to be some rules that anybody can look at and say, okay, this person's on right guidance, or what appears to be right guidance, and the others are not. I don't care if you're charismatic, talker, or a leader or whatever. Right? You can be whatever title you give yourself, whatever title people give you. Even people can reach an ijma. They can reach a consensus. It don't matter. People have reached many, many consensuses before, and they've been wrong. So you have to have something that is definite, something that is unbreakable, to the point you look at, you say, yep, you match. Or you match this much. Or you don't match here, but you match there. You see? So that no one can be fooled again. So in Surah 6, Ayah 151, you get some of these rules. So I'm going to, because there's I'm going to read more in English and less in Kalam Arabi, because that takes me a while. Like I said, it's, on me, it's like I got to focus and still. So, but the parts that I'll need to say something, I'll just say it. So it says, Surah 6, Ayah 151, and I put it up there so you can go look them up, right? And some of them is in the time of Bani Israel, some of them is in the time of Luqman, the wise, and some of them is in our time when our prophet came. And you'll find out they all are basically the same. In the Torah, it's called the Ten Commandments. See? So these are the commands that have always been established for our societies to be ruled by. If a person is on it, they're successful in the hereafter, alhamdulillah. If a person strays from it, they got themselves into a sect. Because that's the meaning of the book's meaning of a sect. When you go astray from the Siratul Mustaqim, that's another path. That's another way. There's even, the Prophet ﷺ is narrated, said, this is my straight path. Right? Follow it. Don't go to other paths. Shaitan said what? I'll sit on the Siratul Mustaqim and come up from the right, come from the left, come from in front of them, come from the back. You won't find any grateful to them. You won't find any grateful to you, Allah, except for your sincere servants. So the Siratul Mustaqim definitely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is the Islam. Since the time of Adam. It's just that we deviated in our societies, and so the prophets had to be sent to guide us back to it. But most people think the prophets come so that we follow them and they are the guidance only. But that's not it. They're sent to guide us to something. And there's these rules for the way that we're supposed to live. So, Surah 6, Ayah 51. Say, and I'm going English. Come, let me tell you what your Lord has made allowed and not allowed for you. That you, rule number one, associate nothing with him. 2, that you honor your parents. 3, that you do not kill your children because of poverty. We provide for you and for them. 4, that you do not approach indecencies, whether inward or outward. And we know in another part of the Quran, you repent if you do, and Allah is forgiving, right? So he says, 4, that you do not approach indecencies, whether outward or inward. 5, and that you do not kill the soul, which Allah has sanctified, except in pursuit of justice. The Quran in another place tells you what the violation is, right? If you killed somebody, the laws, the rules are set and established. The right to the heirs, right? They have a right to determine what they want. They can, if it's accidents, blood money. If it's, so I mean, those certain rules to this. But this Surah Muslim, so it says, all this has he joined upon you so that perhaps you will understand. Number 6, do not approach the orphans' property except with the best intentions until he has reached maturity. 7, and give full weight and full measure with equity. We burden a soul not beyond its capacity. So that's talking about trade and your business and your loans with people. You have to do the measure in the right way. You have to be fair. You have to be just. 8, when you speak, be fair, even regarding a relative. That means just because this person is your family doesn't mean that, you just side with them and another person's right and you siding with your family. That's not just. So it says, 9, and fulfill your pledges to Allah. All this he has enjoined upon you so that perhaps you may be mindful. So he enjoined it upon you. These are the rules. And number ayat 153, he says it very clearly. He says, this is my siratul mustaqim. This is my straight path. So follow it. And do not follow other paths, lest they divert you from his path. All this he has made mandatory upon you, so that perhaps you will refrain from wrongdoing. Okay, so it's very clear. This is the straight path, right? Those rules. That's what the prophets came to do. Every one of the rules, if you realize, when all the prophets came, you could pick something out that the society itself was violating. Whether it was, defrauding the orphan, whether it was cheating people in business deals, whether it was fornication, adultery, whether it was, you name it, it's right there in the rules. Okay, that's the siratul mustaqim we was born with, and that's what we're supposed to abide by. Now, that is in Surah 6, ayah 151 to 153. So, when you go to Surah 17, well, we'll go to Luqman. Okay, this is what Luqman said about the Siratul Mustaqim. Luqman, Surah 31, ayat 12, all the way to 18. So it starts at 12 and it goes to 18. And the other one is Surah 17, ayah 22. So, but it says real quickly, indeed we bless Luqman with wisdom, saying, be grateful to Allah, for whoever is grateful, it is only for their own good, and whosoever is ungrateful, then surely Allah is self-sufficient, praiseworthy. And remember when Luqman said to his son while advising him, oh my dear son, now here's rule number 1. Never associate anything with Allah in worship. For associating others with him is truly the worst of all things. Rule number 1. Siratul Mustaqim. Rule number 2, like we just read. Honor your parents. And we have commanded people to honor their parents. Their mothers bore them through hardship upon hardship. Their weaning was 2 years. So be grateful to me and your parents. To me is the final return. But if they pressure you to associate with me, which you have no knowledge of, do not obey them, but still keep their company in this world courteously and follow the way of those who turn to me in devotion. Then to me you will all return, and then I will inform you of what you used to do. Right? So it's very clear. Number 3, Luqman added, oh dear son, even if a deed were the weight of a mustard seed, to be hidden in a rock or in the heavens on the earth, Allah will bring it forth. Surely Allah is most sublime, all aware. Number 4, O my dear son, establish salah. Encourage what is good and forbid what is evil. Enjoying what is right and forbidding what is evil is all those things right there we just named. You enjoin the fair trade if it's in big business, and you forbid people defrauding people. That's enjoining right, forbidding what's wrong. Enjoining the right, forbidding what's wrong covers all those things that we supposed to do. We enjoin those things, and we try our best to forbid those things. So we give people advice that they should not do that. That's the form of a warner. We give people advice of the right way to live. That's the form of a person giving good news. So it says, prayer, and okay, O my dear son, establish salah, encourage what is good, forbid what is evil, and endure patiently whatever befalls you. Surely this is the resolve to aspire to. Right? So you have tests that come to you. You know, you're supposed to use the siratul mustaqim and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get you to be more patient through your tests. And if you do that, then you get the blessings for it. If you don't do that, you just have problems. You just have problems, right? So you went through something just for what? So it says, rule number 5, and do not turn your nose up to people, nor walk pridefully upon the earth. Surely Allah does not like whoever is arrogant and boastful. Be moderate in your pace and lower your voice, for the ugliest of all voices is certainly the brain of the ass. Right? So that is rule number 5. And we got, that's 18, ayah 18. Okay, yeah, that's ayah 18. That's what Luqman had to give to his son about the straight path. You see? So he's called Luqman the wise. We said the prophets come with the book and the hukum. So Luqman had the hukum. Now Luqman, people are not sure exactly who Luqman is exactly, but from somewhere clearly according to this ayat, a book had to have come at one point in time, and he is one of the ones that had the wisdom of what Siratul Mustaqim was. So, and lastly but not least, Surah 17, and this is in the time of Bani Israel. Surah 17, ayat 22. I think it's, yeah, okay. And I think, yeah, Surah 22. Okay, again, same thing. In Surah 17, Night Journey, Bani Israel Surah. 1. Surah 17, Ayat 22, rule number 1. Do not set up any other God with Allah, or you will end up condemned, abandoned. For your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him. Rule number 1. Siratul Mustaqim. Again, another place of the Quran. See? It says 2. Watch this. And honor your parents. If one or both of them reach old age in your care, never say to them even ugh, nor yell at them. Rather address them respectfully and be humble with them. Out of mercy and pray, my Lord, be merciful to them as they raised me when I was young. Your Lord knows best what is within yourselves. If you are righteous, He certainly is all forgiven to those who constantly turn to Him. Again, those who constantly turn to Him, those are those who are patient, right? Those are the ones that are patient. So, rule number 3, give and do not waste. Give to the close relatives their due, as well as the poor and needy travelers, and do not spend wastefully. Surely the wasteful are like brothers of the shaitan, and the devil is ever ungrateful to his Lord. But if you turn them down because you lack the means to give, while hoping to receive the Lord's bounty, then at least give them a kind word. So we're told to give. And there's another ayah that says, don't let your hand be all the way outstretched so that you give everything, nor let your hands be tied to your neck so as to give nothing. But here it tells you when you give, it says that, where'd it go? Right. That if you don't have nothing to give, you say it in a humble way. You give a kind word, right? You give to the traveler, you give to the needy, things of nature. Okay. So it says the wasteful are like the brothers of the devils, the shaitan, right? That means when people just go out, they got this money, and they don't believe it's a loss. They just spend it and spend it and spend it and spend it. No cause, no purpose, right? Siratul Mustaqim tells you that money basically is a loss, and you're supposed to use it according to Allah wants you to use it, and then He tells you what to use it for. Because what you're doing is you're fixing society. You're getting people away from zalimat, the disorder. See, and you're establishing a form of salam. You're establishing a form of peace, right? Whether it's individually or whether it's in the community, you're adding to it. So that by doing that, you're practicing siratul mustaqim. So, okay, we move on. So we got give and do not waste. That was rule number 3. Rule number 4 says, and do not be tight-fisted. Oh, it continues. So it tells you to spend moderately now. Do not be tight-fisted, for you will be blameworthy. Nor so open-handed, for you end up in poverty. Surely your Lord gives abundant or limited provisions to whoever He wills. He is certainly all aware and all seeing of His servants. Rule number 6. Do not kill your children. Same rule as before, the other place in the Quran. Do not kill your children. For poverty, we provide for them and you. Surely killing them is a heinous crime, sin. Rule number 7 on the Siratul Mustaqim. Do not go near adultery. It is truly a shameful deed in the evil way. That coincides with the other part of the Quran that says, don't do the indecent deeds, whether it's inside yourself or outside yourself. Again, rule number 8. Do not take human life, made sacred by Allah, except with legal right. If anyone is killed unjustly, we give them the heirs, the authority, but do not let them exceed limits and retaliation, for they are already supported by the law. Nine, do not come near the wealth of the orphan. Once again, Siratul Mustaqim rule. The orphan is brung up. Do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. 10. Honoring pledges. Honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them. It's something that many of us need to work on. Don't say it from your mouth. Think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you even say yes. Because Allah is going to hold account. 11. Give in full measure, or give in full when you measure, and weigh with an even balance. That is fairest and best in the end. So Allah emphasizes this twice in the same structure. So that's very important, because people are, through their wealth, people are put into the most trials. Whether a person's given or a person that's receiving, the mentality, they're given to a lot of trials within themselves and outside themselves. So you notice Allah repeated it twice. It says, be sure. So this is important too. Do not follow what you have no sure knowledge of. Indeed, all will be called to account for their hearing, sight, and intellect. So if you're not too sure about something, you don't got the full thing on it, it's okay to step back from it for a second and you investigate, until you're sure, right? Because that'll be called to account also. Were you sure about that this was right? If you wasn't sure it wasn't right, why did you go do it? If you did go do it, then you blindly followed somebody. Blindly following somebody is not allowed. And contrary to what people teach, they think that if they show you some couple little proofs, like even what I'm saying, right? Couple little proofs. If you're still not sure, you need to get more clarity. Just make sure that you're not being sure is not based upon your desire, though. Because some people make themselves unsure because of their desire. The full truth is right in front of them, but they don't want to accept it. So they're like, they want to go with something else, what they're comfortable with. See? So make sure that's not the case also. But you investigate, you turn to Allah al-Hadi, Allah the guide. You pray to Allah through his names. Allah al-Hadi, please guide my heart. Allah al-Alim, or Allah al-Alim is the unknown, all-knowing, but you want to translate it, al-Alim, the scholar. Allah is the scholar. People talk about scholars all the time. Allah is al-Alim. People talk about ulama, go to the alama. Allah is al-Alim. He is the scholar. Okay? He is the one. He's the one that teaches the book. He's the one that gives you hikmah. He's the one that sent the prophets. He's the one that put the rules for the straight path for you to look at, to judge by, to see if somebody's on it. So, 12, rule number 12, do not follow what you have no sure knowledge. Indeed, all will be called to account for their hearing, sight, and intellect. So some people say intellect doesn't play a role. Yes, it does. Your intellect going to be questioned. What you saw is going to be questioned. What you heard, listened to is going to be questioned. Right? So, and I said, some people got mad at me the other day when I said, so that means if such and such sheikh, right? If such and such scholar, if somebody came to a consensus agreement, I know what I'm about to say is going to go against what people say. I don't care. We have the khitabulillah. If they judge on a matter and they tell you do this, and I know they got stuff to try to say like, well, there's this hadith that says this. There's this scholar says that. Listen, this contains siratul mustaqim. Siratul mustaqim has been here. Before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, it was here. Before Musa came, it was here. Before Ibrahim came, it was here. Before Iblis was standing like, hey, listen, I'm going to try to approach this siratul mustaqim. I'm going to deviate them from it. This is the surety. It's mapped out clearly for a reason. And it's called sirat, the path, for a reason. It's straight. It's a straight shot. It's solid. It's mustaqim, ikhama. It's established. Kama, like the word qiyam, right? To stand. It's something that's established. Okay? So there's no doubt in this. Even if you was which you shouldn't, but even if a person was a doubt and they're listening to somebody else, they should be listening to Allah al-Alim, the scholar, right? And you can always go to Allah. Allah, you said this, and you said you'll judge according to the intellect and the sight, and I waited and I looked at other things, but this is the main thing. This is what I really consider, because this is 100% guidance. There's no doubt in this. This is the book, and it is guidance sure without doubt for those who believe, for the muttaqeen. That's what it says inside the Quran. So if I'm reading this, I'm supposed to be sure. If you're giving me a fatwa and I'm not sure, and you say some things and they don't sound right, but then you say an ijma is being reached, a consensus is being reached, that don't mean I gotta follow it. According to the creed today, the way the Muslims think today, we do have to follow. But that's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say. You see, I have to be sure. If I'm not sure and I'm reading the book and it says something different, I can't go with what you're saying. You see? So that's why we got this. It's a for sure guidance to check everybody, right? If a person comes say he a prophet, I'm talking about even if before the time of Prophet Muhammad. If a person came say he was a prophet, but he went against any of these rules, you're not on siratul mustaqim. You see, even in the time of Luqman, the few that he named, you're not on siratul mustaqim. If you teach me against that, I don't care how sweet the Cooper is. If you tell me to go murder somebody, go kill somebody because of this and this and that, because he has a weird belief, right? Let's just use that example. That's what happens today. He got a weird belief. Go kill him. You violating Siratul Mustaqim. You're not supposed to murder, except seeking the justice. What is the justice? A person has killed somebody else, right? Some people say how they twist it, well, facade or mischief on the earth. The Quran gives you what the mischief is, the oppression is. Okay? So we have to be real careful of blindly following personalities that sound good. And this includes me. This includes your top-notch person you hold as a scholar, imam, whoever. Do not, remember the rule number 1. There's only one, God, who you're supposed to follow, who you're supposed to bow down to and submit to. Do not follow somebody into the hellfire because of their personality. I mean, if you want to give it up to somebody, I'm going to follow this imam or this person, and you mess around, end up in that person not going to save you. That can't save you. So this is to surety beyond any doubt. All right, so we got honor your pledges. Okay, hold on. Okay, do not kill. We'll go there. Do not take a human life made sacred by Allah except with legal right. If anyone kills unjustly, we have given his heirs the authority, but do not let them exceed limits in retaliation. The limits are here. The same rule for the person who's killing is the same rule for the person, that's, I almost said kill. But the same rule applies there, right, what I'm saying. Okay? You want to retaliate, that don't mean you go kill somebody innocent that somebody's related to. Or I can't get to him, or I can't get to her, I can't get my justice. I'm going to go kill their mother. I'm going to go kill their father. I'm going to kill their sister or their daughter. You're taking a life. Now you fell into taking a life that Allah has made sacred. You don't have no right to take that life. See? So, you can't do that. That's why this rule came, because that's what people were doing in the time of the Prophet. I can't get you, I'm going to kill you, your mom, your dad, your cousin, the dog, not the dog, but the camel or the whatever. Your transportation, your means, right? So that's real important. And protect orphans' wealth. Do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until attain maturity. Rule number 10, honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them. Rule number 11, give full measure. You measure and weigh with an even balance that is fair as best in the end. Okay, and we're back where we was at. Be sure. Do not follow what you have no sure knowledge of. Indeed, all will be called to account for their hearing, sight, and intellect. That's what you'll be going to count for. Not for the ijma. Not for the favorite scholar, the sheikh. Oh, the scholar said, and they're more learned than me. He's going to say, did you not read yourself? The siratul mustaqim is right here. Did you read it for yourself? Did you open it up? Your intellect. Did you listen to it? Did you look at it? Did you see it? Did you weigh it? Did you think on it? So you're telling me that you did what Adam did when he listened to Iblis because he had some good speech and he swore he was your sincere friend and you took him as a leader to the fire. Because I'm your Lord, see? Rabbil Alameen. I'm Al-Alim. I'm the scholar. I'm Al-Hakim. I'm the judge. Don't tell me about your ijma. That people can misguide you all day with that. I don't care how many numbers there is. When my prophets came to the world, people were on ijma. And they got it wrong. Okay? The society that we're in, they agreed. And we sent prophets to break that up. We sent prophets with a book to give judgment. So don't tell me about no ijma. But today, us as Muslims, we believe in ijma. There's nothing wrong with shorter consultation and agreeing as long as it coincides exactly what Allah say. But if you're not sure, you're not duty bound to follow that. And besides, Muslims argue what ijma is anyway. Some say it's, the scholars agreeing. Some say the scholars of Medina who agree, that's ijma. Some say if you read the haqq yourself and you're one person and it agrees with the haqq, that's ijma. And some say the whole community of Muslims, every single Muslim in the world gotta agree on an issue, and that's ijma. So Muslims argue over what ijma is. And that's not surety then. Siratul mustaqim is surety though. So we got the part about I hate when I do that. I just honor pledge and maintain fairness. Be sure. There we go. Okay. Be humble and do not walk on the earth arrogantly. You see some people, we all have, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying, I try my best, inshallah, Allah guide us, even more closer to the understanding within ourselves to towards what, taqwa and, humbleness is, that says, and do not walk the earth arrogantly. Once again, Allah's bringing this up in another part of the Quran, in Surah 17. Same rule as the other surah had mentioned. Surely you can neither crack the earth nor stretch the heights of the mountains. Another part of the Quran says, let you reflect, you were at first a sperm drop, and this person becomes an open disputer against his Lord. Right? So we was a sperm drop. When you take time to think of that, you're like, wow. Whoa. A sperm drop? That's what we was. And then we are so arrogant now. So Allah reminds us, you can't crack the earth. You can't become taller than the mountains to the effect. So humble yourself. Us, when we humble, we receive. Just like us, like the flowers or or what grows from the ground. When it comes up and it opens up, the sunlight come in, right? The sunlight come in. And it grows. So, all right. So that's humbleness. All right. And ayat 38, which is rule 14. The violation of any of these commandments. You've been told now, see? The violation of any of these commandments is detestable to your Lord. This is part of the wisdom which your Lord has revealed to you, O prophet. And do not set up any other God with Allah, O humanity, or you will be cast to hell blameworthy, rejected. That is the siratul mustaqim. These are the rules that you can find in the Torah. These are the rules that you can find with what all the prophets came with. Whether they brought 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them, 10 of them, all of them. All of it was on the siratul mustaqim. And they themselves were the first to have to go by it. You see? That is why they were commissioned to be able to bring it. They were the first to go by it. So Islam is the siratul mustaqim. Not personalities, not the favorite imam, not the favorite scholar, not even in a certain way, not even the prophets themselves. Because before they're prophets, they're you and me. They're given the books, they're given the wisdom, Allah strengthens them, and then they bring forth the message. They're made messengers of Allah or Nabiyin. See? So this is what they're bringing. The name is Quran recital, whether it was Torah, whether it was Injil, whether it's Suhuf Ibrahim, the scrolls of Ibrahim, whether it was before him, because we see it clearly mentioned in the Quran before any of that with Iblis. He says, I will surely wait on the siratul mustaqim. We know that siratul mustaqim are rules now. He said, I'm going to wait on this. I'm going to come in front of them first. I'm going to come in front, right on the path on them. Boom. Try to get them off of it using some justification. Right? Just like he did with Adam. Allah said, don't do this. Iblis came and said, well, see, look, here, look, see, actually, it means this, or actually that, or the siratul mustaqim was established. Don't go do this. Right? So, through Adam doing that, there was, that transgression. Right? So, but Iblis comes with deception. So my point is, people can come with deception. But if you got the siratul mustaqim, if you know what siratul mustaqim is, if you know what Islam truly is, it is the siratul mustaqim. And it's clearly mapped out. Clearly. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Clearly. But today we believe Islam is our scholars. Today we believe that, the prophets themselves is the Islam. But the prophets actually came to teach you the Islam. Came to give you the surat, to guide you actually back to the path of siratul mustaqim. I say it over and over again. But it's all right, alhamdulillah. Because other people coming in. So, those are the rules. That's siratul mustaqim. So now that we know this, it don't matter what nobody say. You got it right here in your hand. In each age and in each time. So what is the duty of a prophet or a messenger, right? They're given wisdom. Well, first they guide you to the siratul mustaqim. That's the end goal. They need to establish these laws in the society that was before chaotic. Along the way to establishing it, whoever is the prophet's immediate followers, Allah gives him hikmah, wisdom, to be able to implement certain things to get them away from their bad habits, so that they become open to siratul mustaqim. Right? So you understand the difference between the two. The prophets get wisdom. They get understanding, like Nabi Dawood, alayhi salam. Allah gave him hikmah, wisdom to judge. But even he had a siratul mustaqim that he had to go by. He had a siratul mustaqim that he had to go by. Excuse me. So, he had he had a he had even a siratul mustaqim he had to go by, which was a Torah. Okay, but on that Torah, he would basically he had wisdom. So that's what the prophets basically do. Step by step, they guide you away from whatever habits you do. If you're right there, in their midst, and they that's what the purification process is, and then you're open more and more to the siratul mustaqim, because a person that's not purified, a person that has their heart still lurking on their desires and don't want to let it go, you can't guide them to siratul mustaqim. The siratul mustaqim seem like nothing, you see. So they slowly are guided away from the zalimat, the things that they do, and they're guided to the right path. So I just wanted to, briefly point that out. Alhamdulillah, bil alameen. And inshallah, you go look those up. I put those ayats, besides the one about the prophets, with their sent with the book, but I put all the surahs that have the rules of the Surat al-Mustaqim. Start looking it up and reading it for yourself. And inshallah, we better. I'll probably be back on here a little bit later. Probably play a couple movies, because this is that day. They are just, whatever. So I'm reading. I decided to come on and do this. I'll probably do something later on about the kidnappings that are going on. A lot of sisters being and children being snatched, particularly from the African, from the black community. But I mean, other people have been snatched, but it's like an epidemic in the black community. So I might do something on that. And we might watch a movie after that or something like that, and I just share with you some insight that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me on some things, inshallah, and might even go into a little bit other things like Arabic letters like noon, and what does noon mean, and to the word nur. I'll be talking about, I don't know exactly when, but the history of misguidance away from Surat al-Mustaqim, and the certain groups in history that have contributed to that. This will be before Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. So inshallah, alhamdulillah bil amin. May Allah bless you, bless your families. Alhamdulillah bil amin. Thank you for taking time to listen to me. Inshallah, you got something out of it. I already know some people disagree and stuff like that. Alhamdulillah bil alameen. But it's clearly mapped out. We got a deen that today, I guess I'll continue a little bit. We got a deen today that we think our deen is opinions, Deep down, a lot of us believe deen has a certain level of opinions. It don't. The Islam has no opinions. Islam is siratul mustaqim. It's straight laid out. The personalities that come and study and read and comprehend, they may, from the level of their understanding, get some opinions, and some may get to the point where they declare fatwas and hukum, what they call hukum, right? Judgments, but that is not the hukum. In the khitabulillah. Okay, that's just them trying their best to understand, or somebody on their own desires trying to link something. All of that is all whatever it is. But the fact of the matter indeed is that Siratul Mustaqim is in Qitabulillah, which the prophets came to judge by. Right? You can never go wrong. Turn it down. You can never go wrong with Siratul Mustaqim. If you want to be sure, like somebody told me the other day, he said, brother, don't you see? Oh, I'll be talking about the slander upon the Sahaba, the Ansar Muhajirun, inshallah, one day. And the attributes are given in the Quran. what I mean by slander is that the Shia, the Sunni, Ahlul Sunnah, wa Jama'ah, Shia Ithna, Shadi, Zaydiyah, whatever. And this is not me, going against, group, but there's something that needs to be addressed. Ibadi, all have accepted a history about the companions, about the times of the fitna when they killed each other. And we need to address that. That's not their description in the Quran. And we need to also address that as time has went on, historians have collected certain informations on certain people that it's not Kitabulillah. Who cares about what the ijma is? The Kitabulillah describes the Ansar Muhajirun as humble towards each other. Right? And the thing about it is, it mentions something about them. It mentions the Injil and it mentions the Torah. It says their example, their similitude, method, is mentioned in the Torah and the Injil. And then it gives a description. See? It says that they become firm. And they're humble basically with each other. And the disbelievers get enraged. So this is not me coming from an Ahlul Sunnah aspect or a Shia aspect or a Badis aspect. I'm just coming from the Kitabulillah, what it says about them. Okay? So Sunnis have accepted, Ahlul Sunnah has accepted that some Sahaba did kill each other. Aisha fought Ali, Ali fought Aisha, Zubair, Rahman, all the way down. I mean, there's 3 fitna trials that happen. And yet, when the Quran describes them, the people that they're describing are different from the people that you reading about in certain hadith or sirahs that people have accepted on the ijma. So again, we have an example, and people are like, well, who are you? If this scholar such and such accepts him, who are you? I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's given everybody the book to read. There is no monopolies. Okay? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something about a group of people, that's what it is. Now you can say, well, later on, that's that Iblis style. They try to come, well, later on, it says, well, not really that, but, later on, no. So, again, this is not me personality worship either. Because if they're guilty of killing each other, listen, the hadith even says it. In Bukhari, in the book of Kitab al-Fitn, Kitab al-Fitna, if you read all the hadiths on it, you'll understand when you finally read, like, whoa, all the fitna is talking about coming at a time mostly in the companions' time. The first, people to say the first 3 generations, the best, right? But at the same time, they're saying in those first 3 generations was the biggest fitna that's affected us to now. And that word fitna is something because that sort of masks over really what it was. It says that they killed each other for rulership and power. Stop. We just heard what siratul mustaqim is. Number 2 or number 3 is do not take the life. You understand? Do not take the life that Allah has made sacred, except for justice. So you're saying that 23 years they spent with the Prophet, that right after he left, they start killing each other. Like some common person who has no consciousness for worldly stuff. 23 years they practiced non-worldliness. They got guided stage by stage. And I'm not just talking about the Sahaba, I'm talking about Ahlul Bayt. Imam Ali is Ahlul Bayt. So this is an issue of Ahlul Bayt and the Sahaba being slandered. They're saying they killed each other for power and rulership. Like somebody greedy, like somebody haven't been purified in their heart. And it continued down to Muawiyah, Yazid, and continue down to Muawiyah, Yazid. All the way, I mean, there's been chaos ever since then, more and more and more. But we fail to realize that there were people, the Persians, the Romans, the Greeks. There was many different other religions who came in and they put about false hadith. And as much as people like to believe that the scholars weeded all those hadiths, and people got so much that they were just like, we just have a consensus on this. Okay, yeah, there was a history that happened. So Al-Sunnah, Sunni creed started developing into, they're righteous. We're not going to talk about it. Allah will decide what he's going to decide, but for us, they're righteous. The Shia took the approach, well, it is true, then they're kafir. Some went disbelief, the Zaydi Shia, and then there's some narrations in the Imamiyah, the 12ers too, but it's not popular, held to, but some do, that, okay, the companions were okay. Any mistakes they did, we'll say, oh Allah, forgive our brothers who came before us. That ayah. So, I mean, the problem I have is, you're saying that Imam Ali, you're saying that other Ansar Muhajirun were just killing each other like regular people would just kill each other. And the crazy thing about it is, we got Muslims now today that don't kill each other. Got some Muslims that kill, but when we look, it's like a minority. When you say Khitab al-Fitan, it's the fitna, age of fitna. In their time, though, it's like everybody's involved. And then you have hadith that says that the Prophet said, do not involve yourselves in that. You have another hadith in there that says, do not become kafir after me by killing each other. That's a strong statement. So we got siratul mustaqim say, don't kill. We got the Prophet in a hadith saying to his companions, when he's talking to them, is this not a day sacred to you? Yes. What is this day? Right? Is this holy? The basic talking about Mecca. Is it not holy? Yes. He said, then know this, your blood and your properties are sacred, just as this. Do not become kufr after me by striking at each other's necks. So that wasn't talking to me and you. I mean, it applied, but he was talking directly to them. So if you say they did it, and then you come around and say, well, let's not talk about it. Allah may, forgave them and gave them paradise. Or, people have all these excuses. My problem is, why are you even saying it happened? Why are you even entertaining that it actually happened? When Allah told you their personalities in His book. You're not following the book. Because Ahlul Bayt in the book is righteous. Ansar wa Muhajirun in the book, Kitabullah, are righteous. It's only after the book is complete, all of a sudden everyone's saying, oh, they did some wrong, or some people saying, Akhi subhanallah, you want to get mad, oh, astaghfirullah, these guys are kafirs, she is a kafir too, because they cursing the Sahaba. But you wrote it in your book, in Al-Sunnah book, that they did it. You can't get mad. You see what I'm saying? So both is wrong. There ain't no just say that slander is slander on the Sahaba, and it's slander on the Ahlul Bayt. And people are arguing over, people are literally fighting over personalities and calling it Islam today. You talk bad about the Sahaba? Kafir. Did you? I don't find that. Yeah, Allah says, then they want to refer back to the ayat that Allah was pleased with the believer. Okay, alhamdulillah. Although that's revisionary, but alhamdulillah, good. Allah was pleased with the believers when they swore the oath under the tree. So why don't you stick to that and just say that none of the fitna happened then, since you're quoting that. But instead you say Allah was pleased with believers on the tree, and then inside this hadith that all the scholars say is authentic, you say they killed each other. And that violates siratul mustaqim. And Allah says you violate siratul mustaqim, you go where? You go to the hell. You break those commandments, you go. We just read it. So you can't, that stuff we need to deal with. We need to get rid of that. Seriously. Whether you claim you're a Shia, whether you claim you're a Sunnah, whether you say you're a body, the sect, the personality thing, this favorite scholar, Imam or Sahaba, all of them are subject to siratul mustaqim. The prophets, All of them are subject to siratul mustaqim. Me, you, all of us are subject to siratul mustaqim. No one is above siratul mustaqim. Adam wasn't above siratul mustaqim. Iblis is not above siratul mustaqim. So when you look at siratul mustaqim, then you look at yourself, am I on it? And then you look at others, are they on it? You see? And you look at the Sahaba, were they on it? From what you're trying to tell me. Because I don't know them, I never met them. You see? And one thing we will be judged about is what? On the Siratul Mustaqim. Remember what it says? Surety. For verily, your hearing, your sight, and your intellect will be questioned. Do not follow what you do not know. You see? Or be sure about, before you follow it. This is my surety. Okay? This is the book. In it is guidance sure without doubt for those who believe. It says the Ansar the Muhajirun were righteous. I won't believe that the Sahaba killed each other. I don't care what your Ijma says. I don't care what the Shia says. I don't care what Ahlul Sunnah says. I don't care what Ibadi says. Any of the sects. Kitabullah says different. And it tells you what happens if you do that. It tells you what will happen if you kill the soul unjustly. And so you trying to make a creed up, trying to hush somebody who sees that and says, oh, well, if they did it, it must be a kafir. It says it right in the hadith. The Prophet said, do not become kuffar after me by killing each other. Why would the Prophet say that if he said that? Because the Siratul Mustaqim in here says it. It says it. Do not kill the soul that Allah has made sacred. Now, killing somebody over your desires or position of power. Oh, and there's a hadith in there that mentions that too. A companion came out and said, oh, such and such. I forget the name. He says, oh, and I'll do a thing on this too. He says, oh, such and such. Where are you going? This is the time of the companions. So where are you going? He said, I'm going to go join Ali, fighting against Aisha. And you know what that companion said? You know what his understanding. We talk about the Sahaba's understanding, right? Not the later developed Ahlul Sunnah creed about it. What that Sahaba said is this. He said, the messenger of Allah said that when two Muslims hold swords up against each other and kill each other, they go to the hellfire. We are enjoined in the time of fitna that the person who is sitting is better than the person who is walking. And the person that is walking is better than the person who is running. Meaning that in this time of fitna, we're not supposed to engage in that. And not engaging in that is stages to it. Those who run to it, they're going to get destroyed by it. That's what it says. I'm going to do one on this. It says, the Prophet told him, whomever of you indulges in the fitna, it will destroy him. Now understand the depthness of this. Listen to the words. Listen to the words. Umar was assassinated. Is that a form of destroyed? Ali was assassinated. Is that a form of being destroyed? Uthman was killed. Now the hadith said what? Any who indulges in it will be destroyed. That's slander. Because the Quran says about the Ahlul Bayt. The Quran says about the Prophet's family in the Quran. I think one of them is Surah 33, Ayat 33 to 34. Okay? The Quran and Sunnah and wisdom is in their homes. The wisdom is the hikmahs, though. With the wisdom in the hukum is what? Is the judgment. All of them are included. Even with the hadith of the cloak. With Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein. And Fatima. And the Prophet. The next verse, it is something about the wives. The family of the Prophet through marriage. Okay? But that's the family. Okay? Then you have ayats about Ansar Muhajirun, the righteous. But that's in the Kitabulillah. In the hadith, some of the hadith, we have in the age of fitna, the Prophet says something be thrown into the hearts of people. Fitna will occur. And, you know, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I'm going to do some on it because it's really concerning. And it's not because personalities are the Islam, because the personalities themselves were on the siratul mustaqim, and that is what determined if they were on Islam or not. You see? So the real Islam has no personality. There's no personality. Somebody looking like, oh, right? The prophets are the best example on the siratul mustaqim. Whoever's on it, that's the person who's on the right path. Whoever's not, that's the person off the path. So let's focus more, inshallah, on the siratul mustaqim and call that Islam instead of the personalities like, oh, the Sahaba is Islam. Like we be like, oh, the Sahaba. If you don't follow the way the Sahaba, hold on, what way is the Sahabas following? The Quran and Sunnah, brother. They're following the path of siratul mustaqim, which is the siratullah, which is the ihdina siratul mustaqim that they was asking for in Surah Al-Fatiha, and which you are asking for in Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay? Ihdina siratul mustaqim is what the family of the Prophet was asking for in Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening, which, according to many historians, was not revealed until Medina. Now, they were doing salat, so that's part of Siratul Mustaqim that they had. But when you say Siratul Mustaqim, you're talking about all of it finally, you know? So they didn't get that till what? 23 years, right? The Quran was given stage by stage to them. So my point is, the Siratul Mustaqim is Islam, not the personalities, not the Sahaba, not the Ahlul Bayt, not the prophets. The Siratul Mustaqim itself is the Islam. But when a person gets on that, who is the best at that? You understand? So the Sahaba, if they were the best at it, then they were the best. If the Ahlul Bayt was the best, they're the best. We have certain narrations secondary that says this and that. I've read some things from narrations, even from Shia Ibn Shari. They have some. The Ahlul Bayt have deep wisdom when it comes to extra matters, right? So, but at the same time, I don't, and some of the Sahabas broke down, and some of the Sahabas broke some stuff down too, but a lot of the Sahabas wouldn't teach because they weren't on that level to do that. They just followed the Siratul Mustaqim rules and just was quiet, which there's nothing wrong with that. Quietness, is it's a way to preserve so that you don't say nothing wrong. So that in itself shows wisdom, So to speak wisdom is wisdom, and to be quiet is wisdom too. As long as, it's based upon actual consideration with intellect that I'm doing this, because I don't want to say something wrong, and Allah will hold me accountable for what I'm saying. That's wisdom, right? But if you're just not talking because you have nothing to say, or you don't have no, type of in-depth thoughts, so to speak, then that in itself is not hikmah. That's just, you're a quiet person trying to be quiet. So that's what we need to do. We need to turn our concept of Islam to the Siratul Mustaqim rules. And that's the Islam, not personalities. Stop arguing over the Sahaba. Stop arguing about the Ahlul Bayt. Stop fighting each other in sectarianism, killing each other over personalities whom they themselves will have to answer before their Lord about what they did on Siratul Mustaqim. Okay? So, you have the measure. So use it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless all of you. Thank you for taking the time. Praise and glory belongs to Allah, who is Al-Hadi, the guide. Allah Al-Alim, the all-knowing, the scholar. Allah Al-Hakim, the judge, the wise, who gives wisdom, guidance, and knowledge in the hearts of his servants and guides them to the straight path. May Allah bless you and all your families. Alhamdulillah.